Solomon Kane, issue number 1 from Titan Comics. So as soon as I saw this, I was like, okay, I gotta check it out because I'm a huge fan of Solomon Kane. I haven't read any of the comics, but I have read the original source material. So for anyone unfamiliar with Solomon Kane, he is a character that was created by Robert E. Howard, the creator for Conan, and he was actually Robert E. Howard's first popular character, and he is freaking amazing. I love this character. He is a devout Puritan, so he is very religious, and he has this very strong sense of justice that's tied into his religion. And when I say strong sense of justice, I mean very strong sense of justice. There is a moment in one of the stories where he comes across this woman who has been attacked and she's dying. And she dies in his arms, and he basically says, men will die for this. Like he just gets like a nickname of her killer, and he already promises that he's going to find that killer and bring him to justice. And he has no knowledge of this woman. This is just someone he just met for the very first time. And yet he will go across the country just to track down this killer and bring him to justice. That's how strong his sense of justice is. He usually tends to have like this kind of like broody, introspective kind of personality, which is kind of funny because I'm not really a fan of broody characters, but Solomon Kane is a huge exception. Freaking love the stories, so I had to see they would do it justice. Especially since, like I said, he's very religious. And I was kind of curious to see if they would keep that, because you would have to. You have to keep the religious aspects to his character, because that's the core element of his character. And I was just wondering if they would do that justice, because especially now, modern day stories, not just comics, but stories in general, tend to not portray religion in a good light, especially religion that falls under the Christian umbrella, which Solomon Kane is. So I think I've kind of talked enough about that. Let's get into the actual issue. So we start off in Africa, where we have this guy sending a letter to his brother, or he has sent a letter to his brother, and the letter is just, like, how are you? How's the daughter? Yada, yada, yada. And as this is happening, we see a guy sneaking into this African village, and he steals something. He steals an item, and he's running away. He's trying to run to shore, and his compatriot gets killed. And he continues running. He gets into the little raft, and another compatriot gets killed. But he's able to make his escape, and he gets onto this ship with the item, with the object in hand. And we see the villagers that the item was stolen from, like, yelling and pissed off. And one of them looks kind of serpenty, I guess. Like he kind of has like the fangs that kind of look like snake fangs, but you can't really see too much of it because he's in silhouette. And then that's when we cut to this British ship that's attacking this Portuguese ship. And first off, how dare you? As someone who's Portuguese myself, I thought this sucked. I don't want to see my nation being attacked. But another thing is that Solomon Kane is on board. He is now a privateer. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me. Because of Solomon Kane's like sense of justice and Puritan morality and stuff, it clashes very much with being a privateer. Privateers are, for anyone who's unfamiliar with what a privateer is, privateers are basically government-sanctioned pirates. They basically will go and attack enemy ships under their government. So in this case, England. So basically they'll get like a letter of marque from the Queen, and they'll go and they'll attack other nations' ships. And as long as if they just attack other nations' ships and not other English ships, they'll be completely fine. They won't be labeled a pirate. They'll be considered a privateer. Kane being a privateer makes no sense to me because Kane, he despises greed. He despises lawbreakers. He is very much like a divine justice. He doesn't see himself as a mercenary. He doesn't see himself as a gun for hire. He is very much like, I'm doing this because of his God, because of God and Jesus and his religion. Like, he's very much divine justice. I must bring it to everybody. So him becoming a privateer, that's basically him becoming a pirate. It doesn't make much sense. Also, like, Kane is a dude who, he doesn't have sidekicks. He doesn't drag other people along for the ride. Sometimes he might be forced to team up with someone who's already there, but he is a man on a mission on his own. So him joining a crew, again, doesn't really make too much sense. Yeah, I was a little bit, I don't want to say put off by this, but there's a reason he's a privateer. Let's get into it. That reason is that we need it for the story. The ship that he's attacking happens to be the ship that the guy who stole the object from the African village is on. And so Kane goes onto the ship, he boards it, and he goes into the captain's quarters. And he goes to the captain's quarters to basically get the captain to surrender so that the rest of his crew won't have to be killed or anything like that. But as soon as he gets in, the guy pulls a gun on him. So Solomon Kane is forced to shoot him. And it turns out that this isn't the captain. This is the guy who stole the item from the African village. And Solomon Kane's like, I killed an innocent man. Please forgive me. And the dying man says, you're a strange one. I can try to forgive if you give this item to Abramo of Venice. So basically, give it to my brother. And he takes the item, and it's like this weird cobra stone. But Solomon Kane promises that he'll do that. And so we see the life of this Paulo guy. He's a Jew. I mentioned that because it plays a part. Basically, in Venice, other people know that Abramo is Jewish, and he's kind of looked down upon, but they let him go about his way. And he's basically like studying things for nobility. And he talks about how there's this other Jewish person who's a Kabbalist. So like they're into mysticism. Abramo is basically like, they tolerate me enough as a Jew, but if they discovered that I was a mystic Jew, like if they were to believe that I was one, that would be it for me. But I think this mysticism is going to play a part later on. Basically, there's this other character. We don't really see him, I don't believe. But he's the Kabbalist, and he's trying to create like a golem. Meanwhile, there's this guy who fancies himself a ladies' man. He goes to a pub where there's this other dude who is after the item that Solomon Kane has. Basically, he had hired this guy to go to this African village, steal the item, bring it back to him. But he's told by this other guy that, hey, the ship unfortunately was attacked and the item is gone. However, we do know that there's this British ship that just arrived, and it seems to have been suffering some kind of damage. Maybe the damage is because it attacked this Portuguese ship. And so they're like, okay, well, let's gather some more information on this. And meanwhile, Solomon Kane, he talks about how he had to pay the captain of the privateer captain to let him leave, to basically take a boat and leave so that he can go deliver this package. But because of that, rumors spread, word got out, and now people know that Solomon Kane has this package that others want their hands on. And so they confront him. And Solomon Kane just, I like this moment. It's kind of cool. They basically tell him, like, hey, we know who you are. We rode hard to get ahead of you. And they're basically threatening him, like, hey, we want the item that you have. And Solomon Kane answers with, I beseech thee, God of hosts, commend me to thy mercy, forgive me my sins, save me from the fire of hell, and trust me to the Creator, that I might have everlasting peace. And the men are like, praying isn't going to save you. And they go to shoot at him, but he shoots at them first and kills them. It says, I wasn't praying for myself, I was praying for you. And I was like, okay, that is definitely something that Solomon Kane would do. That was really good. I like that scene a lot. But now we know that there are other men who are after this item, and they know that Solomon Kane has it in his possession. And now that's going to be pretty dangerous. And there's a lot more. I'm only maybe halfway through, but I don't want to spoil this entire issue. I will say that I enjoyed it. I do still have my issues with him being a privateer, and I'll say this. I think you could have had the same exact story element without him needing to be a privateer. It could have been as simple as the guy is on his way back home, and maybe he gets attacked, or something happens, and Solomon Kane ends up stumbling across him in the middle of the attack. He goes to help him, but it's too late. And as the guy is dying, he gives the item to Solomon Kane and tells him, hey, I need you to deliver this to my brother. It could have been something as simple as that. Or it could have just been giving him another type of job, because I don't see him being a privateer. Maybe someone can explain this to me in a way that works, but I've read all the Solomon Kane books, and Solomon Kane is not someone that would ever be a privateer. That's just not his thing. It goes against his sense of justice. It goes against all his beliefs. It's basically he will not do anything that's against the law. There are some times where he's done things, like when it comes to like life or death and like an innocent is involved, and he has to kind of bend the rules a little bit when it comes to, but even then it's stuff like where he has to bend the rules a little bit to deal with stuff that's religious but not a part of his religion. So there's one moment where he uses a staff that uses mystic powers, which for someone who's a Puritan, magic would be definitely a no-no. But he is kind of forced to use this and able to do good. And so he might do something like that. But him just being a privateer doesn't make any sense to me. So I am a little bit put off by that. But other than that, I think they did a pretty good job with the character, especially that one scene that I mentioned earlier where he's like doing a little prayer. And then, he's like, I wasn't praying for me. I was praying for you, for what I was going to do to you. Like, that is definitely Solomon Kane. The artwork is fantastic, and the story itself is pretty intriguing. I'm interested to see like what's the item, what's it for, why is everyone after it. So I will say that I do recommend this issue. I think it's a really good start. Don't let my like nitpicks and critiques put you off from checking it out for yourself. I did enjoy it. I do recommend it. I have my faults with some of the stuff in it, but it's not enough for me to disregard this issue in general. I do like it. I am looking forward to seeing how issue number 2 plays out. And I'm excited for where this series can go. So there you go. There's Solomon Kane, issue number 1 from Titan Comics. I hope you enjoyed, and hope to see you next time. Take care. Later. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, I still want to thank you for watching it this far, and I hope the next one is more to your liking. With that said, thank you once again, and I hope you guys and gals have a good one. Later.